Greetings and welcome to the 13th review in our What's Smoking Hot 2020 video review series. I'm going to continue the last few reviews on those marvellous 50th anniversary regular production Trinidad cigars, and this one is going to be the Trinidad Media Luna. Now I've gone ahead and lit it up and removed the pigtail with my thumb. I've taken a few puffs out of the cigar. The first few draws on the cigar have been pretty similar to the Esmeralda in the just those quality traditional Trinidad flavors. I got off the cold draw, I got that refined hay that was similar to the Esmeralda, very similar, and I got again a lovely coffee and wood, and a slight gingerbread sweetness, like a slight sweetness to it. That might be the only difference to the Esmeralda so far. So yeah, coffee, wood. Maybe you could say those slight cake dough flavors in the first few puffs. Certainly buttery, very buttery, like all these regular production 2019 cigars have been. But for me, the Esmeralda, the Topaz, and the Media Luna. I guess you can sum them up as saying that the blend's very, very rich on the palate. In my opinion, the Esmeralda, the Topaz, and the Media Luna aren't beginner cigars. If you compare this sort of cigar to a quintessential beginner cigar such as the Monte Cristo No. 4, these are the type of cigars that are very, very, very rich in flavour, and maybe not as suited for a beginner, in my opinion. More aimed towards the experienced enthusiasts. Certainly, the last few puffs there are certainly emphasising that quality wood and coffee core to it. I guess in this review I wanted to discuss the cigar size mainly. It's called the Marinas. It's 50 ring gauge by 115 millimeters in length, and from the top of my head, that's about just doing the mathematics. It's about 4 3/5 inches in length, so 4.5, 4 3/5, somewhere around there. Now, the Vitola name itself, it's a Marinas. In fact, all these three cigars have got distinct Vitola names. I think, much like the Topaz, and in fact, a recent addition to the regular production cigar that I've done in this review series, the Punch Short to Punch, that's also unique in its size. And I think what Habanos SA does in releasing cigars in unique Vitolas, another one would be the Cohiba Medio Siglo that I started this video review series. That's also unique. They're sort of saying, this is a unique cigar, please pay attention to it. All those cigars have proven to be really, really popular with enthusiasts, and have all had good reputation. And this Trinidad Media Luna, I think if Habanos SA wanted to lump it with the other Petit Robusto cigars that have come out in recent years, they would have made it a 50 ring gauge by 4 3/8 length, or 110 millimeters, which is more standard. I think Partagas D5 or Keto Say number 50 size. But they've made it 5 millimeters longer, and then they've made the blend very traditional, rich Trinidad. Uh, yeah, just a really nice quality cigar. Probably the type of cigar that you'd want to end the day with and make it your last cigar. I think all three are like that. There's Esmeralda, the Media Luna, and the Topaz. So before I go further into the Petit Robusto, why this Petit Robusto size, and talk more about that. Um, at first, when these cigars came out, I thought that they were names of jewels. Esmeralda being emerald, and Media Luna like a half moon gem. But in fact, that's not what they're named after. The Media Luna is named after a famous hotel in the colonial city of La Santissima, Trinidad, or the city of Trinidad on the south coast of Cuba. So we discussed in the last review quite in length about the history of Trinidad. And Habanos Jose, in wanting to market Trinidad as a marker, gave it a history based on the city of Trinidad. And in wanting to emphasise that it was a special premium marker, they wanted to equate it with the city of Trinidad, which is a third city founded in Cuba, I think in 1514 from memory. And what's significant about the city of Trinidad, it has quite a number of landmarks and famous streets. In fact, the Esmeralda was named after a famous street at Calle Esmeralda, and the Media Luna is named after a famous hotel in the city of Trinidad. And the city of Trinidad is noted also for being a unique UNESCO heritage protected city in regards to its colonial architecture. And I think starting with the Trinidad de Vale or the Robusto tea, every Trinidad release from around 2009 onwards has been named after a street or a landmark, a famous landmark in the city of Trinidad. It's certainly still medium in strength. Uh, I'll be interested to see how it picks up in its strength towards the middle of the cigar. But right now, it still has that just that touch of wonderful, like a gingerbread sort of sweetness on the edges that makes it really interesting for me. Kudos to Habanos SAs. They're great releases and they're very hot. There's a reason why they're selling so well. They're really, really good premium cigars. Now, in terms of the Petit Robusto, look, it wasn't really around until the Hoya de Monterrey Petit Robusto was released in 2004 as a regular production cigar, and that was a 50 ring gauge by 4-inch length cigar, or 102 millimeters. 2 years later, the Monte Cristo Petit Mundo 52 ring gauge by 110 or 4 and 3/8 inches came out, and they both proved to be pretty popular. And in time, Habanos SA has really favoured that sort of Vitola size, that Petit Robusto size, across all its brands. Um, just to give you a clue how much they've done so, the original edition program wasn't released until 2005, and at first it started off fairly slowly. In fact, the first 3 years of it, there were only, I think, from memory, about 18 regional editions, 2005, 6 and 7. Currently there's been 212 regional editions to date, to 2020, that have been released, or some of them are still yet to come out. But where the regional edition program really kicked in was from 2008 onwards, where 2008 there was 17 more releases, 2009 24, 2010 21, 2011 24. So if you do the mathematics, off the top of my head, that's another 86 regional editions in the next 4 years from 2008, 9, 10, 11 onwards, and then 2012 started to slow down. But in that time, from 2008 onwards, the Petit Robusto was favoured by a number of regional distributors as a Vitola to release to bring out their releases in. In fact, in total, out of those 212, there's been 37 regional edition cigars in a Petit Robusto size. And when I say Petit Robusto size, I'm talking about cigars that are 50 or 52 ring gauge and they're 4-inch or 102 millimeters to up to the shorter punch short to punch, which is 120 millimeters in length, which is just short of a Robusto size. In time, the other global brands that don't traditionally get regional editions also had Petit Robustos released. So I think in 2007 the Magicos came out. 2010 for Cohiba. In 2010, Cohiba released the Bahiki 52, which is 52 ring gauge by I think 119 millimeters. Um, uh, the Romeo Giulietta in 2012 had a Petite Churchill released. Partagas had the D5 released, I think, in 2011. Um, so this Petit Robusto, I think you could safely say this is now the quintessential size for Habanos cigars. And in fact, when Habanos SA released this cigar, the leaflet that came with it uh, basically said that it had excellent dimensions for those who like a thick ring gauge and a small size Habanos. So that's their thinking. That's why um, in pushing forward Trinidad as a premium market, they really wanted to bring out a cigar that was a Petit Robusto size because that's what they've emphasised in the last 15 years. That is really smoking well, and the ash on that is just perfect. And there's not much more accolades I can really give this cigar right now. I'll leave the review there, and I'll smoke it down into the middle third and give you some more thoughts. So coming into the middle of the cigar, similar to the Esmeralda, it's picked up a little bit in complexity, but the difference to the Esmeralda, that being a bigger cigar, is that this smaller cigar is even more richer in flavour and more around the medium strength. But it's similarly complex, which is admirable for a small cigar in the sense that it's picked up in again those woody and earthy flavours in the middle. It has quite a finish on the palate. Really lingers. So yeah, look again. I reiterate what I said at the beginning of the review. It's a rich cigar, not for beginners. Mainly for the enthusiasts to enjoy, and if you're going to reach for the cigar, it's going to be that last cigar of the day, in my opinion. Again, in my opinion, it's the type of cigar that I guess what are the words I'm looking for? It's a type of cigar that again I think too you need to take your time over because of the richness in the flavour. But this is like pretty much every other Media Luna I've smoked throughout 2020, in the sense that they've all smoked pretty well. They've all been pretty consistent for me, and construction-wise, I can't complain. In terms of the way they've smoked, the ash, they've smoked really, really well. Now, a cigar this size, Petit Robusto, if I was to smoke for argument's sake, a Monte Cristo Petit Edmundo, or a Kirose number 50, that Petit Robusto size, or this cigar, I'm looking at 50, 55, 60 minutes of smoking time, whereas the Esmeralda, being a slightly bigger cigar, closer in size to the Cuba Siglo 6, I'm looking at, for me personally, about 100 minutes, 105, an hour and three-quarter in time. But the blend is very similar to the Esmeralda. It's got those traditional Trinidad flavours, but it's even more, being a smaller cigar, it's even more richer than the Esmeralda, in my opinion. As I'm smoking through that, through the middle part of the cigar, that's picking up a bit more in those earthy flavours, and any of that cake dough flavour that I got at the beginning, that's diminished quite a bit. It's certainly more of a savoury, traditional Trinidad savoury flavour. Yeah, it's just from the way it's smoking it. To borrow a colloquial term, it's a no-brainer why it's sold so well. In regards to comparing it to other Petit Robustos, if you think of the Cuba Medio Siglo or the Kitase number 50, they're both similarly quite rich in their blends, and offer a quality smoking experience. And this Trinidad Media Luna is every bit just like that. I might leave it there and offer some concluding thoughts in the last part of the cigar. So I've just entered the last third of the cigar, and the only difference is that it's picked up again in its body. It's even more rich than what it started. I'm picking up just a touch of spice, or that salt that you might get in a traditional Trinidad cigar. But it's still got those flavours that I mentioned before, and it's that rich on my palate that I'm having to smoke it slower. There's more emphasis on the coffee and the wood flavours at the moment. In terms of the buttery texture that was there at the beginning, there's a bit less of that now, but it doesn't diminish from the cigar in any way. It's still quality. A really, really quality, great cigar this is. Really glad Habanos Sase brought this cigar out, and as I said before in the review, it's no wonder why it sold so well. So I'd like to thank you again for joining me in this review. I look forward to seeing you in the final review, the Topaz, soon. Until then, happy smoking.